presentation on low-code development platform for digital transformation. So we will go through these topics like introduction, background, literature review, limitations of existing research work, objective scope, proposed system, conclusion, and references. So in today, many organizations are using different business applications to automate the task, optimize the different resources, and to accelerate the productivity. So today what happens to develop this application, to deploy and maintain this application get changed. Local development platform becomes one of the solution to have this such a type of business applications. In 2010, according to the Forrester research, low-code development platform becomes we can say it is a framework or it is a cloud service which enables us for rapid development of the applications with minimum hand code. So it gives the different advantages like visual design tools, as well as it enables to use point and click interfaces. This is we can say this platform enables us for rapid creation, launching, and maintenance of the applications. In early days, what happens? This platform, low-code development platform, is basically used for small or departmental applications. Nowadays, the capability of this platform get increased and they are able to develop the enterprise-grade complex applications. Low-code development platform drives digital transformation. Basically, digital transformation, in this case, we are moving from paperless works towards the, we can say, online work, where this digital transformation is not applicable for just single project, or we can say this is not a single technology, but combination of different technologies are used for digitization. These are the three secret keys of low-code success: ease, speed, and power. Ease provides you is because minimum handwriting code is written in a low-code platform. Speed, hyper responsiveness, or we can say ability to give the response within a less time. Then power, it capable to have a enterprise grade applications with secure and scalable functionality. The approaches under which this platform works consist of model driven engineering, rapid application development, and visual programming. Now, this global low-code development platform providers are, we can say, Mendix, Salesforce, then Zoho, Creator, OutSystems, etc. Background behind this particular research work is off-the-shelf solutions are not capable to handle each and every demand of the business. So rather than using traditional way to create the applications, we go for a low-code development platform. Here we can say we can give the opportunity to the citizen developers so that they can easily, or we can say with a minimum code, they can develop their own application as per their requirement. Now, different studies have been conducted for evaluation of low-code development platform. We can say in first author Robert, which focus on how this low-code development platform helps in automating the business processes in manufacturing. Basically, in manufacturing, high waiting time is one of the issue. To solve such a type of issues, we can go for low-code development platform. In second paper, author Mohammed propose a visual programming tool which is capable to develop the different applications which are based on IoT. And one of the best benefit of this particular visual tool is that once the source code is generated, that code we can execute on a different programming languages by using different programming languages like C, C++, Python, etc. Muhammad Usman, author, focus on an approach where the modelers are enabled to generate or automatically generate the business logic code automatically. In next paper, Raju Gurumurthy has discussed how the model-driven development approach helps to build the low-code development platform. Here we can say model-driven engineering, model-driven architectures help us to create the graphical models, and those graphical models we can automatically convert into the source code. Next, author Barbara has found that SharePoint, IBPMS, that is Business Process Management Systems, these are different low-code platforms which are capable to create applications by using components or graphical
Miss
interfaces.
Vaisali, sorry for interruption. You can
So,
skip it all those literature survey if
yes,
you have
yes,
some results with you. If you have your work is experimental oriented, then you can discuss the results. That is more useful
yes.
for us.
Yes, sir. I'm going to means from this literature's review from this Rodriguez Sosa, which is which are the co-founders of
You can skip it,
OutSystem.
ma'am. You
Yes,
can
sir.
skip it. Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, from this existing research work, I had found that we need to create an environment which can enable the agility and flexibility in workflows. That is process of the system. We can, how we are going to develop the process of system very easily. Then we are going to use the machine learning technologies to enhance future of these applications, and we are going to try to develop a strategic applications rather than tactical applications. So these are objectives of the proposed system, where, sir, first is to address the different low-code development platforms so that I can easily identify the different approaches and methodologies proposed for this platform. Then I'm going to, in propose system, I'm going to have a user interface as well as some component library sets, so that we are going to implement the platform in a such a way that, sir, we are going to achieve the optimized sustainability for low-code development platform. That is a, we can say, I'm going to work on this point. Means low-code development platforms are available, different approaches and methodology is there, but I'm going to work on optimized sustainability for this particular platform. So this is a basically, we can say, one block diagram which shows that first, I'm going to work on design user interface, means how to put the process, or we can say workflow of the system in graphical, by using graphical tools. Then that get converted into the code, automatic coding. We are going to use different algorithms, and my focus is on optimization. So here machine learning algorithms are used to, we can say, to achieve the optimization. When I say the optimization sustainability, basically हाँ sir, sorry
Sorry for the interruption,
हाँ,
but you have last 1 minute. Please.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Sir, basically my focus will be on optimized sustainability, where sustainability says that we are going to enable the users, we are going to enable us to deliver the software in a such a way that whenever we are going to adapt the changes, that changes are done in a such a way that we quickly respond to that customers with lower likelihood of the bugs. And in case of optimization, we can say optimization is a tool through which we can achieve the sustainability, because main principle of the we can say optimization is to improve the overall sustainability of the software. So through this low-code development platform, we are going to design different Android applications at the end. Sir, I'm going to conclude this. In today's fast changing environment, customers are better informed, better connected, and more demanding. So digitization is one of the solution for this. So through low-code development platform, we are going to increase the digitization of that particular software. And we can say with less time and less costs, that becomes the advantage or benefit of this particular platform. These are the references through which I prepare my this research work.
Okay, thank you, Vaisali ma'am. I'm audible?
Sir, yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in your presentation, I was just interested to look something that you have implemented, or means some implementation work, some architecture, some design you have gone through. So what is the outcome, or that is only design phase you have gone through till date?
Sir, just I finished my first presentation of PhD, where I work on a literature review. And my focus is on optimize local development platform to design such a model so that we get the better business applications.
That is okay. That is your
Yes, sir.
PhD objective. I'm talking
Yes, sir.
about your conference paper. In the conference paper, you have shared your just design draft, or you have really implemented something. I'm just
No,
here.
sir. No, sir. Not implemented yet. I am working on this
Okay,
particular
so
concept.
okay, that's
Yes,
what
sir.
good attempt. Small my suggestions are that
Okay, sir.
you should include some pictures, image, flow chart to explain your background, objective, problem
Okay.
statement.
Okay, sir.
Because whenever you write all those things in term of sentence, so the person who are sitting outside or who are just viewers, they lose their interest.
Okay.
So that is a better way to convey your presentation, your idea, whatever things, whether you are discussing your introduction, your problem statement, or any background things. Try to always use as much as flow chart and diagram. Try to explain, don't read from the PPT.
PPT.
That is a humble suggestion.
Okay, sir. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
thank you,
Sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Next, I would like to call the paper title with predicting the stock market using a neural network with auxiliary input. Sriyan Ghosh. I would like to invite for the presentation, please.
Hi, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible, please. You share your PPT.
Is my PPT visible?
Yeah, it is visible. It is visible. You go ahead.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm going to present our work writing the stock markets using neural network with auxiliary input. The first author for this paper is Sakshi. She's from SIT Tumkur, currently working at Cisco Systems as a software engineer. I am the second author from Crash University Bangalore, currently working at Cisco Systems too as a software engineer. So, introduction. Well, predicting the stock markets has always been a very challenging task for researchers all among the world. So, the main reason for this challenging task is because of the quite random nature of the stock markets. Well, till date, there's been no other algorithm where there's a 90% accuracy rate for the stock markets. Also, the evaluation metric for predicting the stock markets is something which is being done where a lot of research is going on, because mainly evaluation metric like RMSE or accuracy doesn't really predict the stock markets well. So here in our work, we present novel algorithm to predict the stock markets with data which is publicly available, and we also use a custom evaluation metric which I'll be explaining in the later half of the paper. So I'll be just giving through a literature review, not much. There has been some amount of work. So prior work, mostly in the 90s, they focus on efficient market hypothesis and random walk theories, where it's been proven that stock markets are really random. But in the current world, with neural networks and with time series forecasting, there has been quite some work that has been done regarding predicting the stock markets using news or using previous data. So in our work, we focus on using both news articles, and we also focus on using the previous prices of the stock, previous performance of the stock, both together to predict the movement of the stock market. So data description, most of our data is from the US stock markets, from the NASDAQ stock listed in NASDAQ. So we have two kinds of data here. One is the market data, and the other is the news data. The market data generally focuses on the stocks, the names of the stock, and the prices of the stock, the returns of the stock for the past 10 days, for the past month, for the past 20 days. And we also aim at predicting a variable which ranges from -1 to +1, where 0 to -1 is when the stock market goes negative, 0 to +1 is when the stock market goes positive, and 0 is which cannot be determined. And considering the news data, well, we have a variety of news data that's available. The main features, skimming through the main features of the news data, is first is the time when the news was, the time of the day or the time of the week where the news was actually released. Again, we have a feature called the sentiment of the news, which ranges from +2 to -2, +2 being strongly positive, -2 being strongly negative. And we also have features like word count, subject, uh, provider where the news was actually published. So most of this news, most of the data focuses from the year 2000 to 2019, and the data is publicly available on Kaggle. So we do some very preliminary exploratory data analysis to understand the data. From one of the main examples, or one of the good findings that we see in the data is, if you can see the top right chart, well, one observation which very important observation which we saw is generally low price stocks don't react that much to crashes in the stock market. So this was a very interesting feature which we had got during exploratory data analysis. And the top left chart, well, we can see how accurate the data was, and we have also marked things like the collapse of the Lehman Brothers or the Black Monday, where the stock market was actually falling. So coming to our mainly data cleaning and pre-processing stage. So we do some data processing both on the news data and on the market data. From the news data, so basically we had to do some spelling corrections to bring about unanimity in the data. Suppose news from the UK, news from the US, they use different spellings, so we had to all convert them to same spellings, or spelling corrections, misspelled words, we have to correct them so that the model learns better. Removing punctuations, obviously, the punctuations for which we did not have embeddings. Embeddings again is a very common deep learning procedure which is used in NLP. So which we did not have embeddings for in our glove embeddings. We generally remove the punctuations for that. Lowercase conversion, well, we converted all the sentences to lowercase to improve our predictions. And then at the end of the day, tokenization. Obviously, neural networks don't take in words or alphabets. So we had to go ahead by tokenizing the data. Then pre-processing with the market data, the data here was generally clean. Some pre-processing which we did is, convert the null values into numerical into -999. And one extra feature which we added from our side is extra feature called isNull. Basically, we create an extra feature where that feature tells us information about another feature, whether that feature was originally null in the data or not. So this is our approach. This is a deep learning model. So the main input to our model is the news data, which is fed through a 300-dimensional embedding layer. The embeddings here are glove embeddings which we used. And then it's fed through two layers of LSTM, GRU, Convanti. And then, to minimize to shrink the number of features, we use global average pooling and global max pooling. And then the auxiliary input, which is where our work becomes novel. The auxiliary input to our data is the previous stock market price. So how the stock performed during the last 1 week, how the stock performed during the last 1 month. This is our auxiliary input to the data. So the main input being the news and the auxiliary input being the stock market stock performance. We concatenate both these to give the representations of both these. And then we finally feed it to some fully connected dense layers and finally predict. The last layer is a linear layer where we predict a number between -1 to +1. -1 being the stock goes negative, +1 being the stock goes positive, and 0 being undetermined. So results, well, as I already mentioned, well, it's pretty difficult when it comes to the right metric for stock market prediction. So we used a custom metric called the sigma metric. The sigma metric is generally used there's a company called 2 Sigma which uses something called the sigma metric to predict the stock market, predict the accuracy of the stock market. So y hat here is a prediction, which is -1 to 1. And then R here is our actual return for our actual adjusted return for the time span we are trying to predict. And U is a feature called universe, where we are not trying to predict prices for all timestamps. We are trying to predict prices for a particular timestamp. So as you can see the line, only the column with universe value of 1 were taken for the evaluation. The others were considered 0. So we average all the values of X. And then we find our best scores. We run the model to 20 epochs. We use cyclic learning rate because LSTMs face, LSTMs and GRU face a gradient exploding method. So the gradients explode and all the gradients vanish. So we had to adopt the cyclic learning rate procedure here. And at the end, the references, well, we referred a variety of papers here, starting from the years 1995 to 2019. And this is about my presentation, and I'm open to questions.
Okay. Vivek sir,
Yeah, please.
can we have?
Yeah. So I just want to have a one question, like which kind of metrics or assessment measure he has used, author has used. That is the only metrics it is visible to me, only used for the experimental purpose.
Yes,
Hello.
the metrics here has been used for experimental purposes because we did not want to go with accuracy. There was quite some literature where accuracy was proven to be a wrong metric, to be not a very efficient metric. Wrong is the wrong word. Not a very efficient metric to predict the stock
Because that is
market.
a regression kind of problem. So the accuracy itself you cannot use over here. Accuracy is a
Yeah,
part of classification, I think. So
correct. We cannot use
many
any
other,
parameter.
yeah, in the literature, so many other parameters are there. When you go for the some research work or something else, it always desirable to compare your result against with various parameters, with various assessment criteria. It will help you to validate your results. So always avoid to use only single performance measure.
Okay, sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So okay, thank you. So next I would like to call the paper title with cloud computing analysis of authentication method over internet. Ankush, so please welcome, and you may share your presentation and start, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, please.
So my screen is visible.
Yes, it is visible. Please go
Yeah.
ahead with your
Yeah.
presentation.
My paper title is Cloud Computing and Analysis of Authentication Methods over the Internet. Actually, the cloud computing and it's related to issue. There are different issues are there. My actually PhD topic is to study a different authentication methods and try to get the solution on that. So for the same, I have conducted the survey on the different methods which are using currently in the industry or around the industry. So the basically the analysis of that that is this particular paper sets. So this is abstract. As we know, the technology is upgrading day by day. There are means everything is comes on the internet, and the various services are offered on the internet, and the person cannot live without the internet. And majority services are available on the internet, and not only on the internet, the people are using on the mobile and their daily day-to-day life. Means without internet, the person cannot live actually. There are different benefits of the cloud services. Now before that, there are different services on the internet are actually the cloud computing services are there. So which are supposed to be user are mostly user or normal person are
Yeah,
using.
Ankush, sorry for interruption. Just a kind reminder. You have only 10 minutes.
Yes,
So
yes.
manage your
Yes,
presentation,
yes,
please.
I will manage. So there are different services normal people are using, but actually that services offered by the cloud providers, right? And for the same, there are different pros and cons if you are using the cloud services, right? So the basic objective of the study is to find out the importance of the cloud authentication mechanism, identifying the various authentication methods, and analyze the different authentication methods, and suggest a better authentication method for the society. So these are the literature review. From the literature review, I come to know that there are different methods are using, but most of the services having some problem. Even I found out that the existing methods which are using for the cloud authentication, it may be a cloud authentication or normal system on a normal authentication. That are again traditional services are used and which has some of the problems. Even new methods are there which has a problem. From the literature review that we come to know that. To get the survey, we actually conducted the survey on the in the industry, and that we have shared the paper pencil as well as the Google form and floated that over the internet around the us, and total we found the 174 respondent over there, and out of that 80% were the IT and IT related peoples were there. So these were the questions. Out of that, I want to just explain this. These two were important. That the question were that, do you think the which current authentication method is effective, and another one is which authentication method is more secure. That questions were asked apart from the basic questions they are having. So I will directly go on that particular slide. So it has been found that, so still in the industry, the authentication, for the authentication purpose, username and the password, that is traditional method being used, and that is the 28% is found that. And along with that username and password, some people are using the SMS OTP as a third parameter. And if you see the other parameters like the facial recognition, like biometrics, these are again very low percentage that we are using. Even though my survey is, respondents were 80% were around the 80% were person, IT or IT related peoples were there. And if you see the other things are like soft token or public smart card, these were actually unnegligible things are there. So again, we have asked the question. Yeah, we have asked the question
Sorry
that.
for the interruption, but you have last 2 minutes. Please try to conclude your
Yes,
presentation on time.
Yeah. So again, one more question, important question asked to the people. They feel that whatever they are using, that is that performance and its acceptance is very good. So as per the survey, we found that. So they feel that it's very good. That is the thing. And we have asked that which authentication method is very secure. That question also the final we are asked. So out of that, so people again still rely on the traditional method like username, password, and the some people are on the SMS OTP. And some of the biometrics were used that the people are stating that the as the survey said that the fingerprint matching is there. So there is a scope actually for the improvement of the better security. So the my conclusion is what as an analysis it has been concluded that the 10% people think that the username and password is method is good. So that is easily cracked. Again, SMS OT is another one used with the username password. That can be again it has some need to be again provide the cost by the organizer who are using that particular application. And other things where like biometrics or a hard token is there, which again need to carry, or that has some problem. And even the biometrics we are using, some of the organizations have opted it, but that is because of the cost and maintenance, that is very difficult to control and process. So from the conclusion is that of the same is as per the literature review and this particular survey, we have come to know that the particular authentication method can be used the mobile application. There is a need to have the facial framework, and that can be used with the application because everyone is using the mobile phones with them, and that can be easy option as a third parameter. Though there are different applications where are there, but which are not so secure one, and the people are not able to know that. That is the thing. And these are the future plan is to propose the mobile based the best and suitable secure authentication as a third factor. These are the references.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ankush. Okay, so my feedback is that little bit you say you consider as a feedback or just as a suggestion. So I was expecting a little bit different content by seeing the title of your presentation. Title of the presentation was analysis of authentication method. So we, as a technical person, when we listen that word analysis of something means very methodologically experimental work might be there, where you have carried out a lot of experiments against with many parameters and some conclusion you can infer. Here what you have done, I think you have just you are doing just analysis of the feedback. So I think you should keep the title of your presentation based on the content of your paper. So I think it is little bit mismatch. I'm not saying work is important or not. My point is that based on the content of your paper, the title should reflect whatever what may be there. So whatever the feedback you have just collected, you have analyzed over there only.
Right.
So based on the feedback, you cannot comment on the security.
Right, sir.
Because the feedback is given by the human being, or every human being have a different perspective against the different methods, maybe OTP based or XYZ. So security, when you concern your comments about the security, so it will not be good to make a conclusion based on the feedback. Feedback is something else.
Yes, sir.
So okay, thank you very much, sir. And next, I would like to call a paper title with the design of low power and high. Thank you. High speed 6 transistor adiabatic full adder. Meenakshi, Miss Meenakshi, please. Yeah, next author, I would like to call the title with design of low power and high speed transistor. Are you there? Otherwise, you can go for the next title like apple leaf disease detection. Priyadarshini, are you there? I am audible.
Kushali, can you please check the attendance? So if not, then sir will skip the presentation.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, apple leaf. Yeah, we can start with the apple leaf disease detection. Please go ahead, Priyadarshini, Miss Priyadarshini. Yes, please welcome. You may start your presentation, please.
Yes, go ahead. Can you please full screen and go ahead?
So is it visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Priyadarshini Kalwa from KLE Technological University. And the paper title is Apple Leaf Disease Detection and Analysis using Deep Learning Technique. And paper ID is 483. So this is the outline of my presentation: introduction, proposed system, results, conclusion, and references. So as we all know that economy of India is majorly dependent on agriculture productivity. So we know that agriculture is a backbone of Indian economic system. So diseases in different parts of plant like stem, leaves, and roots are inevitable. So we need to maintain the health and quality of the crop is very necessary. So apple leaf disease detection has received an increasing attention for monitoring a large apple orchards. So disease in apple leaves cause a major economic losses as there will be reduction in both quality and quantity. So disease defect detection by human is a labor intensive and it is cost consuming. Therefore, image processing and machine learning techniques are used in agriculture nowadays so that we can solve a problem. So why it is important to handle the disease detection? In early detection, the early detection of leaf disease can increase the growth of apple plantation. So diseases can cause a major setback in productivity and economic losses. So identifying the desired disease in early stage can help choosing a suitable pesticides and a productivity in productivity. So as I am handling with apple leaf diseases, there are different types of apple leaf diseases, but mainly in our research, we have considered 3 types of apple disease. First one is apple scab. So apple scab is most common disease affected to apple trees. So the disease is caused by a fungus, and it first appears as a small yellow colored at the bottom of the leaf, and as it grows on, it takes to the top of the leaf also. As fungus spread it appears on top of a leaf also. So the next type of disease is apple black rot. The disease is caused by Rotopharia obtuse. Leaves are covered with small brown spots or holes. The spot enlarges, and when the spot enlarges in a circular form, eventually they turn black and rotting of fruits takes place. Next is apple cadder rust. So cadder apple rust is a fungal disease. Again, they appear like a circular yellow spots on upper surface of the leaf. So next comes the proposed system. So the proposed system mainly involves 4 major steps. First one is data augmentation, wherein the different techniques are performed like resize, rescale, rotation, horizontal flip, etc. are performed. Next step is classification 1, where this classification algorithm or this classifier will just classify the leaf images as healthy or diseased. Next, we have one more classifier where this classifier will, in case if it is a diseased leaf image, then classification 2 will identify what type of disease it is among 3 types of disease, that is black rot, rust and scab. After that, after identifying the type of disease, again we are going to compute the calculation of the infected region. What is the percentage of the infected image? So this is the proposed system. So data set is taken from Kaggle. Data set is pre-processed using image processing technique, and the different techniques used for feature extraction is HU movement, adic texture and color histogram. And all this augmented data is fed into a classification model, that is classification 1. This is the first classification model where it is going to classify it as healthy or diseased class. So here the classifier used is XGBoost, and it is trained using FIT method. And why XGBoost is used? Because compared to all other classifiers, XGBoost gave a better result compared to the remaining classifiers. Next is test model. So for evaluation, test images loaded using feature vector and train label. Model predicts the test image labels and display the output as healthy or diseased. So images which are classified as diseased are used to train a second classifier. So the second classifier makes use of VGG16 model. So again in second classifier, the process how it works is again load the data and perform label encoding, split the data, configure the model, train the model, and here for training Adam optimizer is used. And next evaluation and prediction, where we are going to classify the type of disease, whether it has black rot or etc. So once it is classified, next the percentage is calculated using color transformation, masking green pixel and segmentation process. So in color transformation, image is transferred from RGB to HSI format. Masking green pixels are masked because they are considered as a healthy disease and later removed. And segmentation is performed. Infected portion of the leaf is extracted by segmentation, the diseased part with other similar colors, and later the percentage is calculated.
Sorry for the interruption, but you have asked 1 minute. Please conclude your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Please discuss your results only, please. Comparison results I want to just see.
Yes. And so this is the XGBoost model result where the accuracy is 97.5, and these are the results obtained by XGBoost classifier, it is going to identify it as healthy or diseased. Next, VGG16 model, this is the result obtained by VGG16 where it is going to classify it as apple scab or apple black rot, etc. And comparison for classifying a leaf is healthy or diseased, XGBoost gives a better result compared to all other classifiers. And for classifying the disease, VGG16 model gives a better result, as well as XGBoost also gives a similar result. And as I told, to compute the percentage of the limited color transformation, masking and segmentation is used. And even I told area, percentage and parameter of all the leaf images are computed. This is the result of that. Parameter is this, total area, infected area, and percentage of the infected region. So to conclude, this research focus on classifying the apple leaves into healthy or defected. Once the images are identified as defected, again, what type of disease is identified, then compute the percentage, and the model has achieved accuracy of 97.5.
Yeah. Very good attempt. Thank you. I'm also working in the same area, but my question is that the data set you have considered, I think you might have noticed that there was no background. Means when you're going to apply your model in the real life, when you pick a photo from any kind of camera, there will be a lot of noise, a lot of other leaf stand and other many things comes behind the leaf you are targeting. But the data set you have considered, only single leaf is there. There is no another background. Background was removed. So do you think this model will work in the real life?
No, sir. We need to work more on multiple images. Now we are just attempt for a single image. Now I am working with that, sir.
So really, if you are doing some PhD or MTech in this area, I don't know, you should try to make the data set by yourself, go and visit. Then you will see when you do the experiment at the lab in the constrained environment, the real life is totally different. So okay, that's good attempt, but try to think in the real environment. You will not get any such kind of images. In the real life, images are totally different. Okay, thank you. So
thank you,
so next, I would like to call the next author, institutionalization, individual development through child-centered mechanism in India, residential children NGOs. So if the author are here and then please welcome him for a presentation, please.
Yeah, hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, you are audible, please.
I'll just share my screen. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so is it visible?
It was visible. The screen is there, but another screen is totally blank. Nothing is there. So no folder, no file. I think. Yeah. Now it's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have only 10 minutes. So please just jump on that your finding. If you want to interest to share with the others, go to just your findings.
So the title of the paper is Institutionalizing Individual Development Through Child-Centered Mechanisms in Indian Residential Childcare NGOs. And so the color coding over here represents the specific parts and how I'll proceed towards the, how I'll tell how each part plays its important role. So I am Yashraj Vadalkar, and with me is my associate Nishant. And we are third year students from MIT Institute of Design, MIT ADT University. And so, yeah, I'll just give you the presentation overview. What this paper is about and what it is not is the first part. Then I proceed to the problem. The main focus of the paper, that being the individual. Then we go towards the recommendations and approach, and then the conclusion. So yeah, so what this paper is about. This paper is it is an attempt towards understanding the layered nature of problems in the domain of residential childcare NGOs in India. Throughout this, we have conducted research. We have arrived at a juncture, and we are projecting a framework based on a systems approach that can be followed by these organizations so that they can solve the problems. And so the thesis statement, this is, and yeah, so the later part, what this is not, it is not a singular blanket solution, something that can be implemented point by point. This is still a work in progress. We are yet in talks with the organizations that we have surveyed, and we'll try to tell you. And this is just not a singular blanket solution. I'll just repeat that. Yeah. So the problem, the methods followed were literature review, unstructured interviews, and contextual inquiry. And so, yeah, so institutionalizing individual development through child-centered mechanisms in Indian residential childcare NGOs. So the first part, we look at the Indian residential childcare NGOs. And the process followed is like understanding the who, the what, how, where, and when the individuals face the problem, what are the problems that they face, how do they face them, understanding the nature of the problem, understanding the behavior, doing an analysis, and the most important part being understanding the why of it. Why is it that what happens on the ground? The organization surveyed for the same were following. Most of them, Punaruttan Samarasthan Gurukulam, Nachiket Balagram, and the schools run by Krantifir Chafekar Samiti, Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram. All of them, most of them are run by the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, that is the RSS. Yeah, so the first literature review insights, sorry, I'll just go back. Yeah, so the first part is lost childhoods and the tribulations endured. India has the largest population of the children in the world, 430 million, and 40% of the 430 million are distressed individuals. So the society that we live in today, we go through multiple changes in the neoliberal, neocolonial, and neoconservative realities of the world. The children are at the most receiving end. They lead lives of quite desperation. The children up to the age of 18 are here being considered. And the situation adversely impacts the process of the development of the child in all respects, in all aspects. There is an absence of proper learning environment. There is no community support. There is inadequate parental emphasis on education. There is exposure to domestic violence. And apart from that, there is a second thing, that is the practices that the child has to go through. There is peer pressure, non-existent or inadequate coping mechanisms, financial hardships, and emotional stress. So according to Malika et al., so the only thing that the children over here are allowed that they can go to is a residential childcare NGO. Yeah, so that is the only option. That is the only thing that where they can seek opportunities for themselves. So yeah. The families of these children prefer NGOs as they themselves are not in a position to identify and support the emotional and physical growth of the child. In a general approach, whenever we look at institutionalization, always the word deinstitutionalization is brought into the forefront, wherein it is a Western way of looking at things, wherein we just want to do away with institutionalization. But in the countries of India, Nepal, Pakistan, like the global South, institutionalization is a necessary evil. And what does it bring with it? So institutionalization is a way that the child, when he or she is living in an organization, he succumbs to the living patterns. The behavior is influenced by the people that the organizations, like where he resides. There is 24-hour life space activity and 7 days of the week. It is a routine, organized, impersonal structure to the living arrangements for the children, and a professional relationship with the adults, and not a parental relationship. So this is more of an administration-centered than a child-centered approach. Children who are a part of this infrastructure face severe problems in their holistic well-being in all aspects and in all respects. There are multiple studies which indicate towards poor levels of physical health and poor levels of mental health. And these also show the prevalence of hyperactivity well into adulthoods. This kind of care also shows high levels of psychosocial.
You have one last minute. Please conclude your presentation online.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Hello, sir.
Huh.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. You have last 1 minute. Please conclude your presentation on time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to show how we work towards the solution. So the idea over here being that we focus towards the childhoods and yeah, so the solution is a systematic approach, high level goals and implementation on the ground, followed by the solution model that we have proposed, where we work towards the following aspects. And then as we move towards institutionalizing and child-centered mechanisms in the first respect, the high level goals are following a systems approach, where we weave together the different parts of the childcare delivery stakeholders together to work towards achieving inclusive and sustainable childcare mechanisms. Then we follow a child rights based approach, which depends on exaggerated vehement focus on the individual. Then we go towards a resilience based approach, where we push the child towards actualizing their potentials and aspirations. Then the tailor-made mechanisms are brought into the picture, so that this is just not making the children follow a certain way of being. And we have to create a relationship between the caregivers and the children at the same time. And then as we move towards the implementation on the ground, we need an ICT-based infrastructure which provides robust mechanisms towards implementation of the ideas that we had talked about earlier. Then we move towards interoperability measures, that being that we all learn together from one another and childcare health practices are followed. And there is oversight and accountability. The solution model is what I wanted to show you right now. So educational curriculums that are based on traditional and cultural roots of the child. And the idea is to preserve the culture of the region. The students should also be taught in the traditional art or other practices. The idea is not only to provide normal schooling to the children, but also make them culturally comfortable. Then mechanisms that build their visibility and identity. Apart from good academic model, there is also need to make them ready, future ready. And for this, we come to our main point being the volunteer distant e-learning programs that we introduce. It is imperative that education and learning the kids get is provided by industry professionals. And for that, we create a portal. And integrated learning and talent management systems are created so that the child is monitored right from their day one in that organization to the day that he leaves. A proper DNA analysis, evaluation of aptitude, all of these things are done. Yeah. And so how do we move ahead? We provided a questionnaire. We talked to so throughout the whole process, we were talking to through these organizations and how helpful would they find. We talked to the heads of the organizations, we talked to the teachers, and yeah, so these were the results. And so the Rashtriya Shavam, the RSS has showed a considerable interest towards implementing the solutions, and we are in the process of working towards implementing them in Maharashtra. And later, so we have tried our best to do this, and like we are still in a work in progress, and we are going to move ahead with the things that we had mentioned earlier. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So thank you. It was a nice presentation. It was also learning for me. So I think Miss Meenakshi is present now. Also, I would like to call her for a presentation if she is there on design of low power and high speed transistor. So if she is there, she can start, please.
Yes, sir.
Meenakshi,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
please go ahead with your presentation. Start
Yes,
this
sir.
presentation.
What do you please? Maybe it is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Good afternoon to all. I am presenting the presentation on low power, high speed 6 transistor derivative filter. This I designed because of main criteria in nowadays to reduce the power consumption, because we are using the portable devices like phone. Every phone laptop we are using the portable devices. These devices should be lightweight, easy to handle, and power battery should be high enough. So my main focus on choosing this topic for reducing the power dissipation. This is the overview of my presentation. Objective, motivation, and solution is the adiabatic technique, low power design technique. Then what is the adiabatic logic, and then features of this. Then conclude. My objective to design full adder using adiabatic logic. Motivation towards this because of number of transistors is increasing continuously on the chip by Moore's law. Due to the Moore's law, long life battery operations we require. Large power dissipation means larger heat. So we need the large area because of three. Advent of handheld battery operated devices and environmental concern. Main thing is the environmental concern. So we have to minimize the power dissipation because environmental concern is nowadays big issues. Motivation, because in the normal techniques, conventional technique is using conventional technique. If you are designing any gate or any circuit, then power dissipation is CV VD square. So this is the very large power dissipation. Because in this path, at the charging time and at the charging time, in discharging time, all the charge stored in the charging time, it will be dissipated at the ground. So all the charge stored in the capacitor at the charging time is dissipated at the ground at the time of discharging cycle. So energy is lost. So main focus to reduce this problem to solve this problem. So we are using the adiabatic technique. Adiabatic technique means this technique is used without gain or loss of it and zero power dissipation theoretically, because it uses the infinite number of times charge is recycled. In the CMOS technique, charge is destroyed at the ground, but using adiabatic technique we can reuse this charge. So zero power dissipation ideally, but practically it is not possible. Okay, main is the low power design techniques. How we can minimize the power dissipation? These are the different parameters. Using these things, we can reduce the power dissipation. At the technology, we can minimize the using different technology, like we can do scaling. Scaling means we can do capacitance is small, voltage is small, frequencies is small. Like that, we can reduce the power dissipation. VTH optimization means if the power supply is reduced, then VTH is also reduced. VTH is the threshold voltage. Or we can choose another alternative technology. In physical design time, power driven by root and routing. So we need to minimize the circuit size. We have to implement the small circuit. So power is reduced. And circuit logic. I am using the adiabatic technique, logic style circuit like adiabatic. Means here I am using the adiabatic technique. Adiabatic technique is you reuse the power supply, and then at architecture time we can also reduce the power dissipation and different systems. Using this 4-5 steps, we can reduce the power dissipation. This is the main concern in the nowadays. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you have last 1 minute. Please try to conclude your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. This is my proposed circuit. This is a 6 transistor adiabatic full adder circuit. M1 and M3 is a 2 transistor X node. M2 and M4 is 2 transistor X node, and M5 and M6 is the multiplexer. This is a it's a very small circuit. Compared to, I done comparison between the previous existing paper in the literature survey. In the literature survey, ECRL, this is a here you see power dissipation is 25,670, but and the technology is 30 nanometer. I'm also using 45 nanometer technology, but I reduce the power dissipation to 3.30 because here transistor count is 6. In the circuit, transistor count is 36. Compared to PDF, this is another paper. Compared to 4 paper, I found my paper is best in terms of transistor count, because I already told you if the transistor count is less, area is less, power dissipation is less. So, and power supply is also need less. So voltage supply is also
Meenakshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Conclusion of this paper, because using this technique, improvement in power is 36% and 33.3% in transistor count when compared with adder using PTL. So this is the best because it reduces the power dissipation and area, and we can by using this circuit we can draw the circuit with small area, and power dissipation is also reduced. We can easily use this technique in portable devices where power consumption is the main motto, and we can use in a healthcare devices where power dissipation is the main concern. So this device is best where the power consumption is the main concern. Thank you, ma'am. This is the impact on industry. Computer, LCD display, memory area, medical implants. We can use in medical implants, data gathering devices, wide range of micro energy harvesters such as ultra low power energy, wireless sensors, node, implantable health monitoring system. In real-time clock, we can use the adiabatic technique for reducing the power dissipations and area.
Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Really, it was a nice session, and a lot of things we are just learning from here itself also. So, without taking not much time, I would like to call author with the title "Smart Bin IoT-based real-time garbage monitoring system for the smart city." So, welcome you again, and please go ahead with your presentation. And be careful. Please try to bind up within a 10 minutes, please. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Raghvendra. I'm a BTech CSE student from Graphicera University. So the topic for my presentation is Smart Bins, an IoT-based real-time garbage monitoring system for smart cities. So is my PPT visible?
Yes, yes, yes. It is visible.
Yes, so first I would like to introduce my topic a bit. So increase in population, technological expansion, and urbanization has dramatically increased the use of various non-biodegradable products. So approximately in a year, roughly 2 billion tons of waste is generated globally. So this makes waste management an enormous task. So we can often spot overflowing dustbins, then we can find roads littered with trash due to improper waste management. So all of these can be attributed to lack of clean and odor-free dustbins. So we've often seen dustbins with dirty lids, and we very often hesitate to open the lids because of the hygienic conditions. And hence we often result to throwing trash around the bins. So all of these can also be attributed to improper waste management, which is often caused due to workforce shortage, widespread dustbins, and no information about garbage levels in all of the dustbins across the city. So in this paper, we've attempted to solve the problems by introducing a new garbage monitoring system which can monitor the garbage level of all the bins in the city. So this is the system architecture for the system. So the smart garbage system can basically be broken down into three parts. First, we have the hardware module over here. Second, we have the server. And thirdly, the software part. So the hardware module consists of various sensors which sense data from the dustbin. We've got the software part which displays all the data which we've collected from the dustbin and show them to the users. And we've got a server which acts as a bridge between the hardware model and the software model. So up next, we've got the hardware components that are used. So first of all, I use the ESP8266 microcontroller. So this microcontroller acts as the brains of the system. This microcontroller inputs all the data from the sensors and sends it to the server. Then one of the sensors I've used is ultrasonic sensors. So these are used to measure the garbage level in the dustbin. And these are also used to detect people who are approaching the dustbin. Next, we've got the air quality monitoring sensor. So we use this sensor to monitor the air quality of the area of the air close to the dustbin. Then the odor sensor. So the odor sensor is placed under the lid of the dustbin so that we can see the concentration of odor producing gases in the dustbin. Then we've got a servo motor to open or close the lid of the dustbin automatically, and a relay which we've used to multiplex the air quality sensor and the odor sensor. Next up, we've got the circuit diagram of the implemented dustbin. So I'm going to skip the explanation because I think it would take very long. So now we've got the web interface. So the web interface is the part which will display all the real-time information about the dustbins. So the web interface consists of multiple web pages. Out of those, any citizen can view 3 of these web pages. One is map, login and register, while an admin can view all of the web pages.
Sir, you have last 2 minutes for your presentation. Sir, are you there? Vivek sir, am I audible?
Or any tourist destinations, then we'll give that dustbin priority over other dustbins. Similarly, if the garbage level of one dustbin is, for example, 90%, and of another dustbin is 80%, then priority will be given to the dustbin which is 90% filled. Third, we've got the odor emitted by the dustbin. So over here, any dustbin which is high odor will be serviced first. Then the last serviced dustbin is the date at which any dustbin was last serviced. So over here, we've adopted somewhat of a round robin approach so that all the dustbins are regularly serviced. The last is user feedback. So if we get many complaints about a particular dustbin, then we'll again give priority to that particular dustbin. So over here, each of these points have an individual score of 10 points. And then we get the total priority by adding all of the individual points of each dustbin together. Now I'd like to move on to the working. So this would be a brief view of how the dustbin would work in front of a citizen and in front of an admin. So for example, whenever a person approaches the dustbin, the lid of the dustbin would automatically open. And as long as the person stands in front of the dustbin and he's putting the trash in the dustbin, the lid will stay open. And when he moves away from the dustbin, the lid will automatically close. So after the lid closes, the ultrasonic sensors will be activated and they'll measure the garbage level of the system. And after every hour, the garbage level of the system is updated. So after that, the air quality monitoring sensor and the gas sensor work passively, and they'll stay on throughout the 1 hour. So they'll collect average values of air quality and the odor level in that 1 hour. And at the end of 1 hour, they'll upload those values to the server.
Sir,
So
you have last 30 minutes. Please conclude your presentation on time.
Yes, ma'am. So similarly, now this is the software working. So in the software working, we can see the bins, their location, their status. So admins can log in the interface. Then further, they can add or remove new dustbins to the existing system. Then they can even decide, any municipal worker or the authorized worker can look at a dustbin and decide to send or not to send a dustbin servicing crew to service the dustbin.
Sorry, sir. Am I
Yes, ma'am.
told you 30 minutes or
Sorry,
30 seconds? Am I told you 30 minutes or 30 seconds? You have last 30 seconds. Please conclude.
Yes, ma'am. I'm done. I'm almost done, ma'am. Last slide.
Yes.
So now, and moving on to the conclusion. So now from this system, we can conclude that this system significantly reduces the human intervention while also reducing the manpower required to service all the dustbins. So the system also ensures that there is no trash littered around the dustbin, and which in turn increases the hygiene around the dustbin. So we also ensure that only those dustbins are serviced which are in need of servicing. So that is that if you've got a dustbin which is just 10% filled, we ensure that that dustbin is not serviced. So further, we've also introduced a priority-based system which will prioritize the dustbins which need to be serviced urgently over dustbins which do not need to be serviced urgently. So then the web interface allows for verification of the servicing crew, and it also allows citizens to be aware of the daily garbage generation of the city, and maybe then they would when they would actually see the results, that amount the garbage which is generated every day, they would try to reduce the garbage generation. So these are some of the references that we've used.
Okay, so, thank you, Raghavan ji. So I think it was interesting work, and you have employed a lot of innovative idea to implement it. Theoretically, it looks good. So everybody will be happy to see how your theory and your thoughts are really.
So we've implemented it practically too. We've made a prototype version of it.
So in real environment, I'm talking about the real environment.
Yes, sir.
So if really it is working, is really commendable. It's really good.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
So next, the author, please come with the title Crime Data Analysis Using Association Rule Mining. So Mr. Vijayan, if you are there, please you start sharing your PPT and just go ahead. Thank you.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
You are audible. You are fine audible.
Okay. I will share my screen now.
Mr. Vijayan, before you start your presentation, I have to announce that you have. Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yes. Before you start your presentation, I have to announce that you have last 5 minutes for your presentation. Okay, because we have to end this session on time.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, okay, okay. The title of my paper is crime data analysis using association rule mining techniques. My paper ID is 535. So contents are production
You
research.
can skip it. When we have a limited time, you should skip it.
Okay,
So that
okay.
is our
Can
smartness.
I
How do you present your work?
okay. Can I explain it, sir? Is
You
it okay?
just explain your data set first.
Oh,
The crime data everybody know. From where you data set you have gathered or you have downloaded, that explain all the data set,
okay,
then results.
okay, okay. I have gathered all the data sets from different police stations of Nanded city. So
Okay.
this is the methodology.
So where is the data set? I want to see some snapshot. You might have.
No, sir.
Yeah. This is the data set.
No, this is the rule, sir, which are
So where is the data set?
there.
I want to just see the snapshot of the data set. Like these are the features, these are the columns, these are the name, these are the age, or whatever the features or variable you have. Can
Okay,
you
sir.
show me?
Yes, I can show you, but I have to stop the share screen and
No. It must be on your PPT. You are presenting your work and you are not showing your data set. How it is possible?
my data sheet.
Showing data set doesn't means the hard. You should carry your data with the pen drive. I mean that you should describe your data. In my data set, these are the number of observations. These are the variables.
Sir, in my data set actually is a FIR from all the police station, all the 4 police
FIR means what? In the police
first
station, they
famous.
don't have any digital copy. I think they might have given the detail in the hard copy.
Yes. I
So you might
lived
have you
4 years.
combined, then you might have compiled all the hard copy data into some digital format, might have in Excel format,
Yes,
in somewhere you have might have kept that data set I'm talking about.
Yes,
So you have included the description of your data in the PPT. I think
data
no.
not
I think no.
description.
I think no. So you should learn. You should learn. It is a disaster. So you are presenting your paper and you don't have your data set to describe to the viewers. Okay, go with the methodology. Methodology means what? Whatever the data set giving to you, you have applied the association rule mining. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Data cleaning means what?
Data cleaning means whatever the different kind of
Yeah, please go ahead. What you have done in the data cleaning?
yes, we are clean the data as the age of the offenders, time of that crime happened over the place. All these things are we are gathering all these things in a very clean manner.
I didn't get, sir. Suppose the age is there. Suppose one criminal age is 35. So why you need to clean it?
No, sir. Somewhere there are no values. So that's why when we run association rule mining, that time it may be it was showing the error. So that's why
Okay, so there's no value. Then you have deleted that record or you have imputed the value.
No, sir. No, we have inputted the value.
How?
With refer to the that type of that FIR from particular police station.
No, suppose something is blank age. So how do you know what value should fill? 35, 85, 25. How do you know?
No, sir. Actual value we have feed on the basis of FIR recorded data on the FIR.
So that is not data cleaning. That is a data development. It is not data cleaning. Data cleaning technically you have to do. What you are doing, if data is not there, you are just referring the FIR, then you are filling the data. Yes?
Yes.
So this is data development. This is not data cleaning.
Okay, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, these are the rules. 86 type of rules generated by association rule mining.
Which algorithm you have used?
A priori algorithm.
A priori. What are the other algorithms in that area?
No, sir. On the basis of literature review, 8 papers I was studied, and then
all the eight papers have used only a priori.
No, sir. Better is we got that better for crime analysis is association rule mining. That's why we use it.
In the association rule mining, so many algorithms are there. I am asking why only a priori.
A priori is the best for crime analysis, I think, sir, because we got.
It should come with the experiment. It should come with the experiment. Algorithms may perform differently based on the different data set. A priori may work with the my application. If I change the data like your data, a priori may fail. It may happen. So it should come with the experiment. FP growth is failed, CLAT is failed, then a priori I am choosing. That comes through the experiment.
No, that thing we doesn't do that.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is the group matrix graph for 86 rules.
Okay.
These are the findings. It observed that mostly the all.
What was the filtering criteria? Means rule you have generated with which value of support and count?
Support count is 0.90 and left count 1.0. On that basis.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Conclusion. Most of the.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So, Vijayan, that was the good try. So please study how to develop the data and how to present the data. Then a priori algorithms are there.
Okay, sir.
If you are using, I have used support count 2.5. So why only 2.5? Why not 2.6? Okay. So whatever the parameter you have used in your research work or any experiment, you should have the answer. So I have used 2.5 because this is this reason. Okay. Randomly, you cannot say this is my wish. I have used 2.5. That is just the minimum support count. How do you know 2.5 is the ideal value? So these values are come always with the experiment. You go to the literature survey, you will get all the answer.
Okay, okay, sir.
Good attempt. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All presentations are done, sir.
I think yeah, all are over. All are over.
I opened the chat forum. If someone have queries regarding their presentation or have some doubts or regarding someone's presentation, they can ask publicly and privately. The chat forum is open for all. I sincerely thank our researchers for their excellent presentation in this session and all our participation for being a part of international conference. I hope this session was informative, knowledgeable as well. All the presenters would be getting their digital certificates, payment receipts, thank you letter through mail within 2 working days. Further, all papers have already forwarded to the Springer for publication process. The publication will be live within 4 or 5 months. Kindly cooperate with the team ICT-CS during this tenure. I also thank our session chair, Dr. Vivek Tiwari. Thank you so much, sir, for the
Thank you for ICTCS members, Amanji, you, Amit Joshi, and all others who known to me. So it was really good experience for me. Always be with you, your team. I always love to visit the conference the way you organized, Amanji. So, but due to some reasons, we are stuck somewhere and we are not able to meet since last 1 year. So the best possible, the way we can do, we are doing over here. And thank you, all the organizing committee, organizing members, all are my known. Thanks for the invitation, and it is really learning for me, and hope other participant authors also enjoy the session and learn something. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your valuable presence.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It is a small greetings of token, sir. We can send it to you.
Yeah, it's better to, sir. Please, if you share by the email or you share with the email, then I may download it.
For Monday, we can definitely share it, everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. May
everyone.
I leave it now? Thank you.
No, sir. Please stay with us for a few minutes. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Aman, sir. Thank you, Vivek, sir. for being us. Okay, everyone, stay safe, take care, because precaution is better than cure. I want to take a quite snapshot quickly because for the memory
Why not, please?
for ICT CS 2020. So I request all of you to turn on your camera so we can save it. Give me your big smile so we can use it for our ICT CS 2020 memory.
Sure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, sir.
Thank you, Vivek sir. We'll meet
Thank you,
soon.
Amanji. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anytime,
sir.
anytime, sir. Anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye, sir.